there were questions. I don't know if we could just riff on it for a few minutes, both about expenses and taxes, and then also consistency with clients getting paid. I mean, unfortunately, my answer for this sort of stuff, and this is again why I keep harping on the Discord being so great. I already have. I've sort of gotten to the point where I have a business manager, and I have a management team, and I have attorneys. Like, I have all that stuff. I still have to manage them, but I don't chase anybody for payments. I like text my manager or my business manager, say, hey, why haven't we gotten paid? And then they make the phone calls. So I no longer deal with that stuff. You're kind of in an in-between state where you have representation and you have attorney, you have, let me pin this message here. How do I do it? I'm trying to pin. Can I do it? I'm going to pin. All right, there we go. Comments pin. There's the Discord link for you guys. Do you have thoughts on that for people coming up? You know, you've made various transitions of this kind.
And I've only recently gotten hired management, and they're great. It's still kind of a transition where we're still kind of figuring out a workflow because, again, like, I'm still dancing between working on, you know, big major label stuff, lots of people involved, to, you know, independent musicians just kind of operating their own little pirate ship. And I will say that everyone likes to think that when you make it and you work on major label stuff, that, man, things get easier and you get paid more money and you get faster. It's the absolute opposite. You will never get paid. You have to hunt people down, and that's why you need lawyers and people who are just better at being. You need people that are good at being mean on the phone or an email and can do that on your behalf. But yeah, I mean, you know, quick tips, like, I've recently started doing deposits, which I didn't do for a long time. You know, I'd gotten burned before, where it's like you deliver something and you just don't get paid. Like, that's happened to me. And, you know, if people have the delivered WAV files that they can send to mastering, you're shit out of luck. Like, there's nothing you can do.
No leverage.
So any sort of leverage that you can have. You know, when I send out refs, I almost always, unless it's, you know, a client that I've worked with a lot or a dear friend, it's always an MP3, you know, like a 256 MP3 that, like, you know, no one's going to get that mastered or release that. I mean, maybe they will, but, you know, there's a real cap on that. And then, you know, so anything where you can kind of hold on to something is important. And then outside of that, it's just, you know, just try and communicate, like, hey, like, you owe me money, or, you know, now you can send requests with PayPal and Venmo and stuff like that. That helps. But yeah, having people do it on your behalf is a real treat. Obviously, you pay them a percentage or a fee or whatever your arrangement is. But my real goal in moving into having a manager was to just kind of, like, deal with the money stuff less. You know, inevitably in a creative relationship, you talking directly about money with a creative person, it's going to influence the relationship. And so the quicker you can get that out, the faster you can kind of just, like, do the job that you're actually good at, and just make music, and things aren't icky or weird or whatever. You just have people doing it on your behalf. It's so much better and so much easier if you have the opportunity to have that.
Yeah, and I think what you said there is very important. That, and I'm the same way. There's a project or two that I just turned down because one of the projects I worked on with this, let's just say, entity, business people, they didn't pay me on something. And we sort of worked it out, and they gave a concession later for something, but I was just like, I don't love this project. And yes, it would be money, but it's not worth the hassle to me. And that's obviously a luxurious position. But the point is that no matter where you are, we are in the industry and whatever levels of success and wherever you are, you always have to evaluate, what's the likelihood that these people are going to pay me on time? I'm doing this for a living. If I don't get paid in a timely manner, or I don't make much money, am I going to be okay with it? Am I going to be happy with it? You know, why am I doing this particular project? What's the timeline? The leverage thing is really important. There are certain projects and certain labels and certain managers, artists, whatever, that I do not deliver until the deal is signed, until there's a contract that's actually signed and finished. There's been times with major label things where I have communicated through my management, when the money is in my bank account is when you get the files for mastering, and everybody's freaking out and calling. And I go, you guys didn't pay me the last 2 times. So it's only, you know, and you don't want to have that relationship. And honestly, those are the things I don't work with those people again. But no matter what level you're at, there are times you're just going to deal with this forever. So don't feel bad that, I mean, feel upset that you're not getting paid, of course, but don't feel bad that like you haven't made it and then at some point it's going to be different. Unfortunately, that's the part of being a creative entrepreneur, for lack of a better term. Probably is the same for whether you're a designer or a mixer or whatever it is. It's always a challenge. But yeah, that thing of getting someone in between you and the artist in terms of talking about business. If you can have managers do the business stuff and you and the artist work, that's the ultimate goal, I think, that everybody should try to reach.
Yeah. And yeah, just know more money, more problems. Like it's only going to get harder. So wherever you're at right now is probably the best it's ever going to be. It's only gonna get worse. I mean, I won't say who, but there's literally like major label, large artists, big time artist stuff that's out there released into the world that I still have not gotten paid for. That it's still just like lawyers and managers being like, what the fuck? And they're just like, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I know. I've definitely, yeah. I mean, we could tell unnamed stories of this probably for a whole nother hour of like,
yeah.
There was something a couple of years ago where I had mixed an album for an artist on a major label. The album was out. There were remixes. I'd sent multiple rounds of different stem configurations.
Yeah.
And then I like looked and it was 2 years after it had been released. I'm like, these motherfuckers owe me 10 grand. What the? And so I even hit the artist and he was like, I'm so sorry. I was told it was done. And I love him. He's a friend of mine. But it was like, he had switched attorneys and the label had then switched attorneys and it just got lost in the shuffle. It's just the way that shit is sometimes. So yeah, I don't know. It's not the happiest note to end this on, but that's the reality of it. It's very challenging.
It's the downside of having a fun job. You know, that's what it is.
That's a very good way to put it. Thanks for watching. Just a reminder, all of this content is free. There's no secret knowledge here. There's no Patreon. We don't read ads. We don't have sponsors. We're just trying to build a knowledge base. All that we ask in return is that you share it with somebody. Thanks so much.